Good morning. My name is Rayanne, and I would like to share a tale with you that I first heard in a mythology class I took while working on my bachelor's degree. It was a class of religion and myths, and we were studying this particular unit on creation stories. And we were reading them from all over the world and different ones. And this one in particular was a Native American story. And it really struck home with me and really stood out to me for reasons that I hope during the course of the story you will see. I hope you enjoy the story. Earthmaker walked down to the river. He surveyed all that he had created, the earth, the trees, the grass, the animals, the plants, the sun. But there was something missing. One thing would make this masterpiece of his perfection. It needed man. So he sat on the river bank and created a fire and then scooped up soil and clay from the riverbank. He molded the clay mixture into the perfect human, a perfect image of himself, and he sat it into the fire to cook. While he was waiting for the clay man to cook, he was enjoying the sounds of nature, the river flowing by, the birds chirping in the air. Soon he was lulled into a sleep. When he awoke, he realized quickly he had forgotten his little man. So he runs over to the fire and he pulls it out, and he realizes that he had overcooked his little man. His little clay person that he had worked so hard on was black. So he set it free, and thus the first black man was created. So he tries again. This time he's hyper-vigilant. He does not want to burn his little clay man again. He scoops up the clay, he forms it into the perfect version of himself, and he puts it into the fire. But in his anxiousness of not overcooking, he pulls it out and finds that it is in fact underbaked. So instead of being overcooked, he now has a raw clay man. Thus, the first white man was born, and he set it on his way. He's a little frustrated now because he has tried twice, and in his eyes twice has not created the perfect version of himself. So he scoops up the clay one more time, and he shapes it into the perfect reflection of himself. And this time when he puts it into the fire, he is careful. He watches it, babies it almost, this prized thing that he has in the fire. He flips it over and warms the fire and banks it and makes sure that it's not too hot and it's not too cold. And when he pulls it out, he sees that he has succeeded. It is the perfect shade of red, the perfect shade for the red man, a perfect image of himself. And so he lets it go, and thus the first Native American was born. He is proud of himself. Even if the first two were not what he envisioned, he realized he had created a good thing with all three. I hope you enjoyed my story. I really like this one because it shows how the different races were formed. And most creation stories that I've read don't really touch upon that aspect. So I found it really interesting that this one did. And I found it interesting that though the first two weren't quite what he was looking for, he didn't view them as failures, rather just not quite what he wanted, but he was still pleased with the effect at the end of it. Well, I hope you enjoyed my story, and I will see your results soon.